Hey guys, Jay here. So in this video, first of all, I want to share with you guys a couple of upgrade that I have made or update a couple of things that I have tested as well in the lazy juggernaut characters over here. So this is a wave 15 simulacrum. Let's just look at it. So if this is the first video that you have seen this build, you kind of see what it can do, right? So here we get Cosis and Omniphobia to appear, and well, we are doing okay, right? By the way, there are a couple of things that I have tested. First of all, I tested the Bladefall with and without quality. So the quality of Bladefall give one additional volley. So it also improved the total number of lingering blade that is spawned for every single Bladefall trigger. But because the lingering blade just spread around because of spell cascade and of how the Bladefall skill work, there is a debate that a 0% quality is going to be better for Bladefall in order to get a lot of lingering blade that is clumps up together in a very small area, so we can use Blade Blast to detonate every single one of them, and they are going to overlap on the same single target, right? So this is the debate. This is back when Captain Lance played the Bladefall Bladeblast Inquisitor, I think from a while back, right? He did a bunch of tests, and for his character, the 0% quality Bladefall seems to work better for Blade Blast single target damage. But I have tried multiple things here. So apparently the result for me is very weird. It is not definitely that the Bladefall of 20% quality or 0% quality is better. What I found is Bladefall with 20% quality seems to deal more damage if I link Blade Blast to awaken increased area of effect. But when I use the Bladefall, the normal one here, when I use the 0% quality Bladefall, increased area of effect seems to do nothing. When I linked it to the increased area of effect here, the damage seems to be much lower than if I use a Empower level 4 here. So it is just how I see it. So I want to lay out the result over here. Please go ahead and try to test for yourself. The two setup, the Awaken Area of Effect setup here is a little bit cheaper because the level 1 gem for Awaken AoE here is only 3.5 to 4 Divine. But the Empower gem, if you just want to buy it, you need it to be level 4. So it is going to be 6 Divine. So it is 2 Divine more expensive if you want to use the Empower. So right now, I probably will stick with the increased area of effect because I already bought it here, and the Empower I already moved to another character. So I just keep the increased area of effect here, and therefore it is working better with Bladefall with 20% quality. So I am going to keep this setup. This is going to be my probably final gem setup for the Bladefall and Blade Blast thing. So the cast when stun in the body armor 6 link is going to be Control Destruction, Awaken, of course, Brutality with increased area of effect. All of them is Awaken, and then Blade Blast. And I also have a Reap here. Reap is also an AoE spell that benefit from every single support gem here, and the +2 from the body armor. Speaking of the body armor, Doppelganger's Guise is now my body armor. So basically, there is only the change in the base body armor from Fourth Vows to Doppelganger's Guise. Doppelganger's Guise is strictly better, according to POE, is strictly better for the maximum physical hit and also maximum chaos hit. So this will, in theory, help you to minimize the amount of one shot that you will receive from taking a larger amount of physical damage or a larger amount of chaos damage from one single hit. So, highly recommend to change into Doppelganger's Guise. If you want to, you can still fully AFK through the Simulacrum most of the time. 99.99% of the time, you can still AFK Simulacrum just fine with Fourth Vows. You can still do a bunch of like AFK Ultimatum in maps, even tier 17. I showed a tier 17 footage in the previous build guide video, so you can refer to that for how it looks like basically. And yeah, long story short, according to POB, this chest is more tanky. When I wear it, I don't feel any difference because I didn't die before. Right now, I don't die either. So I don't know if it's actually better. So what I do is I just remove the one armor mastery here. So I no longer have the 1% of all maximum elemental resistance if equipped helmet, body armor, and gloves, boots all have armor. Because now my body armor only have evasion and ES. Technically, you should not even quality this. Evasion and ES is actually useless for the build. And yeah, I just simply get one more 6% life point. Right now, my character is still level 97. I've been playing with a new character, and that I made a teaser video on the Soul Render Spiral Brand Recall character earlier. I will try to push out a build guide for that character as well. It is decent. It's not the best build, but it's decent. I think it's interesting enough to actually make a build guide around it. So yeah, about 3 more levels. I think I'll probably just take 1 more point of life here. I will probably take the mastery for nearby enemies, have 50% reduced life regeneration. It is useless in Simulacrum. There's nothing regenerating in Simulacrum, but if you run like Juice Map, probably you will run into enemies with like a large amount of regeneration sometimes, and therefore you will need the mastery here, and then maybe you need to switch one of your gem, for example, Conk Effect in here, so you can have a Frost Bomb as well, and the enemy cannot regen anymore. So that is going to be pretty helpful, and I probably will take that. The last point, I think there will be a mastery somewhere that can be useful. Worst case scenario, I might take this. 1 point for slower decay of rage and 8% armor. That is the worst case scenario. So let's hope we don't have to do that. Or any just like 5% life or 4% life and some armor here is also okay to take. So yeah, there's a lot of choices. We can choose whatever, or maybe there will be a mastery somewhere. I'll make sure that I will include it in the POB in the description for level 100 skill tree, right? So just refer to that. Enough yapping about it. Anything else that I've changed? So the Bladefall now is cast when stunned. Bladefall, spell cascade, and concentrated effect. This is to minimize the AoE of the lingering blade. It's very hard to pronounce. Lingering blade. They need to be closer together so you deals more overlap damage with Blade Blast. That is the new setup. We don't need the EK of Lingering Blade anymore. That thing just shoot out Lingering Blade, but it is in a different spot than the Bladefall. So I just want to focus on the Bladefall here, and we also have Bladefall Trathis to just create more Lingering Blade constantly, and also hitting the enemy before they hit us. In some situation, it is very good. I am having still cast when stunned with 2 curses on my helmet, but my helmet has one small change. I no longer have the +2 duration gem in the helmet. I instead want to go for a percent life per second as a corruption here. I think in general this should feels a lot more comfy because in theory, right, technically the +2 level of duration gems is going to bring the curses to higher level, and therefore we just deal like probably 5% more damage in general, but the regen is very, very nice in a lot of situation, and I just prefer defense over offense, assuming I have enough offensive already, right? And the gloves here is still the same. I just want to explain the Extinguish choice a little bit here as well. I've seen a lot of question about the Extinguish for the gloves. Why do I choose Extinguish? First of all, Searing Exarch implicit for this build. We don't have a lot of choices that actually is beneficial. We only have the Extinguish, which prevent enemies from doing elemental ailments. And we also have the 4% damage per charge, per frenzy charge. And we only have 4 frenzy charge, so that is 16% damage, and it's only 16% increased damage. So in theory, in reality, it's just like 1 or 2% damage or something, probably even less than that amount. So I don't think that is going to be significant. The Extinguish here is nice in the sense that right now I am immune to Ignite from the Valerium corruption here. I'm immune to freeze and immune to shock for my flask and mage blood because I will have the flask up all the time. But there are still multiple different elemental ailments, and there's Scorch, there is Sap, and for example, I am very annoyed when I got the Sap modifier in here. Chance to Sap by an enemy, and we cannot be immune to Sap because we don't run Purity of Element. So Extinguish, when I fight, for example, Kosis, I want to deal the most damage possible, so I don't want to be sapped. Period. So that is why Extinguish, when I extinguish the Kosis, he cannot sap me anymore, and therefore it technically means more damage, right? So I still like the Extinguish here. If you want to have more damage in number in POB, just go for the percent damage per frenzy charge. And yeah, the chance to ignore enemy physical damage reduction here, most of the time it is useless. But when you run maps or when you have simulacrum mod that say it's 40% physical damage reduction for enemies, for example, the mod is going to work very well. And that is also a reason why I am changing a bunch of my jewels from any random corruption to hit half percent to ignore enemy physical damage reduction. So it is going to help in those specific situations. Most of the time, it doesn't matter that much. Most monsters does not have, or if they have some physical mitigation, it is a very small amount. We don't care about it anyway. But still, when we want to go for a little bit more min-max, things like this can make the difference in some situation. So you can either aim for a very high roll of Blood Notch and Immutable Force, or you can go the same way that I do here. I go for a nice corruption and decent roll. I don't care about max roll. So that is everything. I'll make sure to leave the updated POB in the description. So thanks for watching. If you have tried to recreate this build, I hope you have a wonderful time with it. I have to say, this is a relatively tricky build to put together if you have not done it in the past, because there are a bunch of different minor details that can make or break the build in some situation. Because if an enemy hit you, for example, if you have 1 life left, you live. But if you have 0, you die. So sometimes, some situation can be too extreme, and if you miss one thing or two there, here and there, it might just make the build, just make the character die, for example. That is the most common situation. Or when you want to replicate this gem setup, but you didn't care about the level of the gem, that can reduce your damage by a very, very freaking big amount, by the way. So because all the gems that I am using here is a very, very cheap, still is very, very cheap for level 21 and 20% quality, I would highly recommend you to just take that as a very high priority to purchase when you want to replicate the build, right? So all the messages that I want to deliver here. And one additional topic, I actually make a little slide here for the Forbidden Jewels topic. So this is another section. I should make a whole new video, but I just included it in here anyway. So about Forbidden Jewels. There are multiple options that you can use for Forbidden Jewels. So you can steal another ascendancy from another ascendancy class, mostly Chieftain, maybe even Berserker. So let's go through all the options, which are the best in order. So number 1, the best. It is very expensive. This is Indomitable Resolve. This is not belong to any ascendancy. It is a special one, Forbidden Flesh and Flame. It is always like a few hundred divine for each of the jewels, but if you have it, you are a god. You are very, very, very tanky, 25% less damage. If you just add it to the current POB, the character pretty much die to like the brain damage of Maven, and maybe the Searing Exarch one shot as well. Probably die to those, and certain death mechanic like the Drowning Orb as well. But other than that, everything else cannot kill the character. So Indomitable Resolve is hands down the best, but also kind of like unrealistic. there often are like 2 or 3 of them every single league, so only 2 or 3 people can actually use this one. I just want to mention it here because it actually exists. So second best is actually Valaco Storm Embrace. This is the maximum rest node for the chieftain. It is also relatively expensive, yeah, I cannot afford it, or at least I don't want to. But if you can afford this, it actually means really, really big, because you only need to use one single ruby flask and you will cover all the maximum resistances of the sapphire and the topaz flask. That means you can use other flasks. So you can potentially have a lot more armor. You can have, by using the basalt flask for 20% more armor, you can just basically have other stuff in your flask. So this is also a very, very strong ascendancy. It also allows you to stack to 90% all maximum elemental resistances very, very easily, because you only need to stack fire. So it is much, much, much easier, right? Number 3, and this one is the one that I am using and I would recommend everyone to use. It is Hinekora's Death Fury. This is enemies in your totem, you or your totem kills have 5% chance to explode, dealing 500% of maximum life as damage. So this is the Chieftain Explosion. It is just really big, really strong, really fun, because it is explosion, right? So without like any further explanation, I would highly recommend this. It feels really good. Defy Pain. This is the next one that I would put in the list. This is a ascendancy point from the Berserker. So this is basically a lot of text, but you just need to understand it is basically a secondary Defiance of Destiny. It functions the same way as Defiance of Destiny. The only difference is the Defiance of Destiny is very consistent. It is always the same number of life recovery, but the Defy Pain have anywhere from 0 to 10 stack, and when you take a hit, you gain a stack, or when you reach 10 stack, you lose all the stack. So it is not consistent, but if you have both, that means potentially, if you have 0 recoup, if you have even 0 life regen, you can still run map very, very comfortably, because in theory, one hit can potentially heal you up to like 60% of your unreserved life, which is a very, very big number, because we already are at half life due to being the due to using the petrified blood. Crave of the Slaughter. This is the last one that I want to mention. This is inherent rage loss, start 2 seconds later, and you have 1% increased attack speed. This is purely just quality of life if you cannot afford any of the one above. And these two, the Hinekora's Death Fury and Defy Pain, is also very cheap at the moment, like 1 divine or less. Most of them are like half a divine. Crave of the Slaughter is also very cheap. If you cannot afford, if these got like really expensive, you can use Crave for the Slaughter. This gives you 2-second delay on your rage loss, so when you move from pack to pack, or the rage is not going to run down as quickly as it normally is, and you can gain a bunch of more damage more consistently. It's not necessary when you are actually in the fight though, because enemies is going to hit you and you are going to sustain the rage. But it also gives a 1% increased attack speed, which technically is beneficial for shield charge, which is the skill that we have here, right? So yeah, that is everything I want to share in this video. I also have a guide made for finding timeless jewel, which I forgot to include in the description of my build guide video. I have edited the description of the previous video to include that in the description, but I will also include it here, the video I made from like a year ago or something, but it's still the same. The timeless jewel have not changed at all, so everything is still the exact same. So I would leave the link to that video in the description as well, if you are struggling to find a good timeless jewel for the build, right? So that is everything I want to share in this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the massive support that I've received for my last couple of videos, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Stay tuned for more POE 2 and POE 1 content, depending on what is hot at the moment. So peace.